Well, Kamala Harris is now the first woman of color to be featured on the presidential ticket of a major U.S. party. She is also the first California politician to join the national race since Ronald Reagan ran for re-election in 1984. Harris spent 13 years as a prosecutor in the Golden State and served as California's Attorney General before being elected to the U.S. Senate. Now, for more on Kamala Harris's career in California and how this may actually help her on the way to the White House, in the race to the White House, let's bring in Melanie Mason. She's a political reporter for the Los Angeles Times, and you wrote an article titled "Kamala Harris is Joe Biden's history-making pick for vice president." So let's talk, Melanie. Kamala Harris was elected to the Senate in 2003. She stayed there ever since, or elected to office in California in 2003. Can we, talk about the importance of a California representative? It's a massive state, but also, in a way, it's not a state in which Joe Biden was lacking support in. But why is it significant that Kamala is coming from California, and how will that help him?
Right. I mean, in many ways, California is the most populous state in the nation, but it has a giant political chip on its shoulder. And that's because we have not had a political representative on the presidential ticket since Ronald Reagan. And there has never been a Democrat from California on the presidential ticket. And so we've heard this time and time again with California. Is this really a launching pad for national figures? And so I think Kamala Harris really has ended what has been a decades-long drought for Californian politicians. And so in addition to all of the national significance, and there's quite a bit in this pick, I think here in her home state, we're thinking about what this means for California's role in national politics.
In your article, you spoke to a couple of more progressive grassroots groups, and you used the phrase that Kamala Harris was, quote, a political weather vane to some, that's how they saw her, that essentially whichever way the political wind blew is where she would be pointing. Will that be a challenge for her?
That was certainly a challenge for her in the primary, and the political weather vane language actually came directly from one of these progressive groups. Although I think it's notable that on balance, we saw largely the progressive flank of the party get on board with this pick. And I think that's the real difference between running for president and running for vice president. She had a hard time in the primary really clarifying what her message was. And so we saw things like a little bit of a muddled position on Medicare for all, for example. And she struggled with that. But now it's not her responsibility to lay out her own platform. She's running on Joe Biden's platform. And I think that one of the things she did very skillfully in the run-up to this pick is she was a very skillful surrogate for him. And so you'd see her on cable news, you'd see her at fundraisers, and she was very savvy in sort of pivoting the message back to Joe Biden and his platform. And so I think that whereas perhaps in the primary she was hard to define and that could hurt her, now it's great because she basically is supposed to be a loyal lieutenant to Biden, and she has proven that she can do that, at least so far. I mean, we still have months to go before the race.
So if Joe Biden wins and both of them end up going to Washington, to the White House, someone will have to be picked to replace her. The governor, Gavin Newsom, will most likely be the one to pick a replacement. And there are a lot of rumors swirling around about who that could be. What are you hearing?
Oh, everybody and anybody, if you wanted to throw your name in the pit. Look, California is a state full of ambitious Democrats. And one of the things that we've always seen here is that there's a bit of a bottleneck for some of these top positions, particularly because you have longtime political figures like Senator Dianne Feinstein occupying a Senate seat for decades. So we've seen everything from conversations about should the next senator be a Latino. We have people like Secretary of State Alex Padilla, who's long been mentioned as a contender. Should it be a woman, like replacing Senator Kamala Harris, who of course is a woman, in that seat? And so we'll hear names like Lieutenant Governor Elaine Kounalakis, or Orange County Congresswoman Katie Porter, who was a freshman in 2018, but really has carved out a very quick national profile. So I think that my colleague Phil Willen did a story, and I think there were something like 17 names in the mix, and I'm sure we will be hearing more. I think that one person absolutely that should be mentioned is Congresswoman Karen Bass, because she was considered to be a finalist for Biden's VP pick. She was somebody that had somewhat of a lower political profile, but she's very well known among political figures in the state. And I think she really upped her profile with the general public in the last few weeks. So she probably has positioned herself very well to be in contention.
All interesting stuff. Melanie Mason, thank you so much for giving us some time.
Thank you.
So, for more on just how the people of California are responding to the prospect of one of their own senators heading to the White House, you can stream CBSN Los Angeles or CBSN Bay Area from anywhere in the country for a local perspective on the Harris news.